am not good at making AIs. I never was, and I probably never will be. And I really hope that will change in the near future, because I really don't want to go through Reddit and Stack Overflow to read solutions to random errors that make no sense in the context of my code for the 50th time. But that doesn't stop me from creating wonderful apps and ideas, such as this one, where an AI tries to turn music into cat noises. Although it does sound a little more like a random note generator than an actual converter, but we don't need to talk about that right now. And that's great, but the thing is, when you're trying to do these kind of things for a platform that is ever changing, is really difficult when TensorFlow decides to give you the punch in the nut every single time I try to make a neural network. And for those of you who don't know, by the way, TensorFlow is just this thing that you can throw into your code so that you can make and train AIs and stuff without doing all the calculus and math and trash. And as of a neural network, just know that it looks like this and it's the thing that makes AIs work. Anyways, it's not important. And I don't know about you, but I am not a wizard in TensorFlow, so naturally I'm forced to debug random errors caused by TensorFlow every single time I want to make a project with any forms of neural networks involved. As you may have guessed, it starts becoming pretty irritating pretty fast, not because I wasn't able to find any posts relating to the issue I have, but it'll always come as in one of these situations. Guys, I'm having this random issue that doesn't even make sense. Already posted here, so go check that instead. Wait, but that thread has nothing to do with my issue though. Oh great, you solved the problem. No, you haven't solved anything. Alright, cool, then I'll just close the case here and you can piss off. Guys, I'm having this issue that I don't know how to solve. Does anyone have any idea? Yeah, I'm gonna need a little more code to understand what you're trying to do. But I've already posted my code. You know what, it's fine. Here's the code that I had before the chunk of code I posted in this thread. Probably you'll have a better context if you look at those as well. Yeah, no, that's definitely not enough for me to have a concept of what you're trying to do. You know what, screw it. Here's the entire repo. Now you can look at all the code that you want to. Yeah, that's still not enough for me to tell what's going on. What the fuck? But once in a while, you could stumble across that 1 in 1,000 chance where you get an actual useful answer that fixes your problem so that you can finally die in peace. And to those people who provide that kind of answers, I don't know how to repay all of you. Anyways, the point is, TensorFlow is hard and I am too dumb to learn and use it properly. And at this point, it sounds like my only option is just to accept my fate of eternal suffering in Reddit and Stack Overflow, but no, I ain't going down with the fight, baby. God, I fucking hate saying that. Alright, so let's break down the problem a bit before we go and try to solve it. So the problem right now is it takes too long for me to relearn another AI library, and TensorFlow is just too useful and too bad to use, either because of my intelligence or of its design. Either ways, there's really not any good way to mitigate this besides for just avoiding to work with it altogether, which is what I'm planning to do. That may raise the question of how I'm even going to do that, because most of my code depends on TensorFlow to run properly. Well, you see, the key word there is code. I write a lot of code to create and train my neural networks, and most of my issue stems from there anyways, not TensorFlow itself. Which might come as a surprise because I was literally trash talking about how bad TensorFlow is, but it's whatever. And the best alternative to writing code is to make some sort of graphical interface that generates stuff for you. Kind of like how graphics editors can generate SVG code, and how App Inventor can generate hatred towards computer science. And also JavaScript and stuff. So let's try to do that and see how it goes. Now, I had the idea of making graphical frontends for neural networks a couple of years ago, but the only reason why I didn't make it back then was because my only choice for making a graphical application was with Java's JFrame crap, which was straight up just awful to use. It's horrible. I wouldn't even wish my greatest enemy to use that stuff. Call me a drama cat, but I really fucking hated it. But now things are different. Instead of using Java, I can now use Java, script, and also HTML and CSS to create decently looking applications. And the first prototype I came up with was this. I called it AIVIS for AI Visualized, which honestly is a pretty pretentious name for what it's actually capable of, but shut up. Anyways, if you click into one of the singular button available on the home screen that I thought was necessary for some reason, you'll be brought to this page where you can actually start creating your neural network. It works like how you think it would, and is probably the simplest UI you'll ever use in your life. But just in case if you're a boomer who's watching this video and don't know how to click a computer mouse, which begs the question of how you're even watching this video right now, there's always this help button down here that shows what each things do. You can do the normal stuff like adding or removing layers, scroll on the layers to change the amount of perceptron in each layer, And there's also this big part where you can upload your own training and testing data, so that this way you can train your neural network based on your own data and see what kind of architecture fits the best in your use case. And you know, that's great and all. I can create and train neural networks right in my browser without writing a single piece of code, and that's great, that's wonderful. It just got one minute little flaw, one small little bug, and that is that you can only go up to 9 layers and 9 neurons per layer. I don't know why I set that restriction, probably because of UI stuff and I don't want it to look weird, but either ways, it was just not practical. And at this point in time, I was about a month into this project. It definitely works, but it wasn't up to my satisfaction, and I soon came to the realization that I pretty much fucked the whole thing from the beginning, because the entire UI structure was what's limiting the potential of this program. So I pretty much just gave up on that project. I mean, the website is still up, you can still go to it, link in the description. But I wanted to remake the whole thing to make it look nicer and also more functional. It was also around this time when I was making my last YouTube video and I was editing in DaVinci Resolve and I was doing special effects when I realized these net things are actually kinda cool. Yoink! That's right, in my second prototype I used a node-based system instead of a layer-based system. What does that mean? It basically means that every layer of a neural network is depicted by one of these squares, or a node. They connect to each other just like how layers would in neural networks, and you can also edit them just like how you would with layers in a neural network. In this case, not just the amount of perceptrons, but also potentially other things like Anyways, the point is, it's a lot more scalable and flexible than my last one, and depending on how observant you are, you may have noticed that you are looking at me using the program right now. Compared to AIVIS, this one hasn't really changed anything, except for the things that it changed. There's now a canvas that works exactly how you think it would, a custom terminal that displays outputs and also allows you to execute commands, and for the most important part, the whole thing is now in dark mode. And in case if you're wondering how I made the UI, I had to custom code everything, from the CSS to the HTML, everything had to be custom coded. And oh boy, that was not mentally or physically exhausting at all. I don't really know what to make of this video than to just show off what I've been doing for the past 3 months. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of code and tricks I had to use to get the thing running properly and not crash on the browser environment, but you know, I doubt anyone would care because it even bores me to death. So what's the point of explaining them to? It's not like anyone will ever care, right? I'm still trying to actively maintain and update this project by adding in new features and stuff into it, and if you find this helpful or just interesting, you can support me by, honestly, I didn't really expect you to make it this far. So I haven't really came up with anything. You can... Shit! Alright, give this GitHub repo a star. Or possibly contribute code to it for some reason. Yeah, that's it. I don't got anything else to say. Dislike, unsubscribe, go away, video's over.